to spread its own propaganda. In fact, with radio, China has acted so stealthily that the federal government, which limits foreign entities' ownership of media outlets and regulates agents of foreign governments seeking to exert political influence in the U.S., was unaware of the effort until the British news agency Reuters informed them. Wait, the government that is charged with keeping U.S. interests safe didn't know that our frenemy was trying to take over our radio system? Basically, in a 3-part blockbuster series that should be getting far more attention, of course it's not because it's Obama, Reuters has detailed the extent of China's radio penetration. Most of the radio station China now controls, according to the investigative series, are in North America, Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. One operates out of a Washington, D.C. suburb, and its footprint includes Capitol Hill and the White House. The Chinese own American radio stations. Have you ever heard this before? Are any of the big talking heads out there telling you this? No. Now, none of these radio stations that the Chinese own are in Africa or Latin America. They're in Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and in the good old US of A and Canada. Why is that? Well, because they're frenemies. Now, you heard, for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Ria Linda, a frenemy is a combination of enemy and a friend. One who kind of is your friend, but they're really your enemy, but they'll act like your friend until you piss them off or until they want something different from you, and then they'll be your enemy. But for the most part, sometimes they'll act like your friend. China and the U.S. and Russia and the U.S. are frenemies. We're not allies. We're not friends. We're frenemies. Frankly, China tolerates us for now. Till they get this bold idea that they have a superior government, superior military force, and superior population and economy, then when they get to that point and think that, they'll take us out. They will attempt to. And this is how they're starting. They'll infiltrate. Look, there are companies here in this country that are owned by China. And all that money is being siphoned out of the United States, going back to China, and funding the military of China. The Chinese military, they act like, it's almost like they're a corporate conglomerate, a corporate holding company. They have their fingers in a lot of different stuff. And when you do the paper trail, you find it, it leads back to the People's Liberation Army or something like that of China, which is nothing more than the communist regime. Just saying, folks, this is we have this, and all of this. Do you think maybe the president's listening to Chinese radio? I don't know. Not saying that they have an interest in a radio station in D.C. that covers the White House. Again, from the Daily Signal, top officials with failed Obamacare co-ops made bank. Made serious bank. The Daily Signal is reporting that top officials with failed Obama co-ops made an average of $245,000. A $250,000. Here's the story. Before 11 of the 23 nonprofit insurers created under Obamacare announced they would be closing their doors, the top executives running their operations raked in large sums of money, according to 2013 tax filings across access through guidestar.org. The top executives of the 11 co-ops that have announced they will be winding down operations made an average of $245,203 annually. Tax filings for 2014 are not yet publicly available. $250,000. Now, wasn't the left talking about how these wonderful CEOs of these private insurance companies were raking people over the coals because they wanted to make big, large salaries? Yeah, and some of them weren't making big. Well, I guess $225,000 for a government-run type of operation that fails is okay. I guess I'm out. I don't know I'm out of the loop. I don't know how you find one of these jobs. How does one find these wonderful, high-paying government jobs? I mean, you're almost, as long as you don't break the law, and even if you do break the law sometimes, depending on how high up you are in the government, you can get away with it. But as long as you don't break the law and you don't quit, you're most likely going to have a job for life at these high salaries with top-level pensions. I mean, I'm not one that usually likes to work for other people, but you know what? For that, I'll work for the government. Well, I mean, I'll probably go in and pull my hair out every day, but hey, I only got to work there a few years. And I am sure if I had the top level stuff like that, not the low level people who are still making nearly six figures, but if I was at the top level and I decided, after 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, I decided to get out, I'd be able to write my own ticket in the private sector because, hey, you've got all this experience with the government and, I could be a lobbyist. Oh, no, Well, maybe I'm not as smart as I like to think I am. I didn't go that route earlier. Man, I blew it. Because I follow this stuff and I see how much these people are making, and it's making me sick because it's my tax dollars, your tax dollars, are paying for these outlandish salaries, and these people don't do jack. They don't do diddly squat. Programs fail, and now we have almost half of the Obamacare co-ops are failing and shutting down. 11 out of 23. That's not a good success record. That's a failure record. But hey, just so you know, you're spending $245,000 in average salary. That means that's average. That means that there are these co-op officials that made more than $250,000. $250,000 is the average. That means that there are some people that are making considerably more than $250,000. By the way, speaking of China being an influencer in Washington, D.C., and all the wonderful co-ops that are failing because they're run by... there is a new proposal in our nation's capital that would allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote for president in 2016. Now, understand this, folks. See, the Democrats are so scared because they keep losing elections. They keep losing. Can I say this again? They keep losing elections. So the only way that they think they can win, there's only two ways. Well, now there's a second way. One is by getting illegals in this country and then being able to get them to register to vote. Legal or illegal, doesn't matter. As long as they can vote, they'll be fine. The other way is to do this, to get 16 and 17-year-olds able to vote, because after all, every single day, these wonderful kids are being indoctrinated by none other than the federal government in the form of our public schools. I mean, what a joke. You're gonna let a kid that you're going to let people that in many states do not think are responsible enough to be able to have a cell phone and drive, or have a friend in the car with them and drive, but they're not responsible enough for that, but they're responsible enough to vote? They're children. Children do not get to vote. Granted, there are still a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds that are kids, act like children. But, we've determined that 18 is an adult. 16-year-olds are not adults by any stretch of the imagination. They are not adults. I mean, this is the only reason is because they believe, rightfully so, that 16 and 17-year-old high schoolers and dropouts are going to support Democrats. And they think that that's enough people to sway the difference, because if they can get this done in D.C., they can say, look, we have all these wonderful 16 and 17-year-olds who are participating, because guaranteeing you they're going to move the polls or allow these kids to vote while in class being taught by a liberal teacher. Because they're going to say, well, the kids are in school all day. They don't have time to go out and vote, and they have to go with their mom and dad, and they can't use the car, and blah, blah. So this is the perfect place for them to go. And they will start passing out ballots in homeroom to get these kids to vote. And the kids, because most of them are going to think it's a joke, and they're just going to ask, well, who do you support? Teachers are going to, I support this person. They'll probably say a Republican, and the kids will say, well, screw that. I'm going to vote for this guy. Look, this is nothing more than an attempt at the left to save their sorry asses from all the losses that they have been encountering the past 5 years. When you've lost over 1,300 seats from local to federal level, you kind of take notice of that. And you try to figure out how to stem the tide, because you're becoming politically irrelevant. And the liberal Democrats just can't have that. The point is that they're being rejected left and right. Their philosophy, their governmental style is being rejected all over the place, left and right, including in some places that you would consider to be liberal bastions. San Francisco just ousted that stupid sheriff who wants to have continue with the sanctuary city. San Francisco went and said, oh, hell no. I got a story here about, I'm running out of time, about an illegal who kills another person. Hit and run. He was caught 7 times. Hit and run, folks. Now the NFL is set to refund paid patriotism money. Follow that story. We'll probably get more into that on Monday. Until then, folks, we are quickly running out of time for this week. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your freedom while you have it. Until then, I'll see you back here on Monday, same bat time, same bat channel. I'm Rod Eccles. This has been the Rod Eccles Show. Thanks for listening. I'm out.